Hey guys, welcome to Remarried Love, the best new relationship podcast for everyday men and women who desire to be married again.
We're your hosts, Dee,
And Aki.
and we're going to have candid conversations about the journey to a healthy remarriage.
We're so glad you're here. In this episode, we answer the question,
Why get married?
let alone get married again.
We're going to share our story and what you can expect from Remarried Love.
We'll also, clear up any confusion as to who this podcast is for, and we'll leave little nuggets of wisdom along the way.
So let's take a deep breath. Now let's get into it.
So, babe, why did we even start this podcast?
Well, we started this podcast because we want to be the friends that we wish that we had when we went through our journey for our divorces, our re-singleness, and our remarriage. And so we just want to be a support for other people who are going through the same situation.
Right. I mean, going through that process is very emotional. And you're right. We wanted to be a friend, a support, a reference point, someone to just say, hey, you're not alone. We felt like we could talk about remarriage because we've been through it. And that's basically why we started this podcast, to help people. And what did you say? You said something about being
We want to be the friend that we wish that we had.
Right. Yeah. During that time, because it was so emotional and it was life-changing. Going through a divorce, being married, there's so much emotions. And then getting a divorce
There's even more emotions.
Very painful. And kind of being out there re-singled again. And I'll just tell my story first. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I was a person whose parents got divorced. So I understood, I knew about that. I felt like I was already part of a stat that I didn't want to be in about children of divorced parents. And my thought process as a young woman was, well, if I don't get married, I can't ever get a divorce.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
If I don't get married, then I won't be divorced.
That was the only way I knew how to avoid divorce. But in order to do that, you had to shack up.
Yeah. So you didn't look at the fact that if I get married, there's things that I have to do to not be divorced as a married person. But you said, I'd rather not be married so I don't go through a divorce.
There is one way I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
I took it all into my own hands by just saying, hey, I'm going to live with a person. And I don't know, because I always wanted to be married. But I don't think I fully healed from my parents' divorce. So
yeah,
I just don't want to experience that again. I don't want to experience divorce at all.
So you felt like you went through a divorce by going through your parents' divorce.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a kid, in a kid way.
Yeah.
My heart was broken at 7 years old. When you first feel love in your heart, and then it's like it's just torn apart. That's how it feels.
Because you saw two people who loved you, but they didn't love each other enough to stay with each other.
Right. Yeah. And it might have been like too amicable, their divorce, in the sense of there was arguing, but then the co-parenting and everything was so great. I'm thinking, why did you guys get a divorce?
So they co-parented so well that it's like, we're the best friends. We're easy.
Well, they weren't best friends.
Yeah.
They were more like, yep, you go with your mom, you're with your dad. And that was it. Yeah. No arguing about anything about me. And they were like better children raisers than married people.
Yeah.
Maybe so. So that's kind of the background of me going into my first marriage. Now I am living with the person, and I don't know what it was. Something just kind of hit us, and it's like, we might as well get married. We got some things that we want to do, and so we got married.
So was that more like a business marriage? Some marriages can be like that. It could be love, or it could be like we're just doing things together.
It's hard to say how much love you feel when you go through a divorce. I believe that at the time I did love the person I was going to marry, because I thought that you definitely want to love. But in that particular relationship, I did think it was very partnership-ish.
Yeah.
I don't know, like we could work together, we could do these things together. But as far as like family legacy, it was light on that, more of ambition driven, let's make this money. We're going to do this. That's kind of what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And my first marriage lasted almost a decade. And there were a lot of things that happened within the marriage. And then it ended abruptly. And for me, it was like my whole world was shattered. When you have things like betrayal or deception, and you have a lot of elements that go on sometimes in the reason why you get a divorce, it seemed like it like reopened a wound.
Yeah.
So now I was a child that went through a divorce, and now I'm an adult that went through a divorce. And that just was like, it was like my worst nightmare. And funny, because I started having nightmares. We'll talk about that later, but I started having nightmares as a result of the divorce. And it took a lot of self evaluation to know what type of healing I needed. And so now after I'm divorced, now I'm re-singled. So after being, monogamous, being in one, relationship for almost a decade, I'm out here in these streets just looking crazy.
Why do you say you're looking crazy?
Because I don't even know. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any dating apps. I didn't know anything. I was I don't know. It was not fun.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy being single. Some people do.
Yeah.
Some people really like that. For me, I did not like it. And I enjoy, the company of men. I enjoy meeting people. I feel like I'm friendly. I want to go and do things. I'm very active, but it was something different. I really missed my covenant. I missed the protection of the covenant. Whether the person honored it or not or whatever, I still decided to be in a covenant, and I could tell the difference when I wasn't. And so I was out here and I was doing, just me. I was like, I'm not going to focus on dating, because some of my friends wanted to set me up with a lot of different people.
I'm sure they did.
Some of the old names in the black
book. Yeah.
Some of the old names came up, and I went on some dates and things like that, and it was
but it was different.
It was different. So then I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to heal. I wrote a book about that healing process, or what I needed to do. And then it took a long time to write it, because when people heard about my divorce, they were like, Aki, you need to write a book about, this is like a Lifetime movie, and it's this and that. And I talked to God about it, and he was like, yeah, we don't want to rehash that. I want you to let people know, or share with people, how you got out of that situation, not out of the marriage, but out of the brokenness.
Yeah. The hurt and the pain.
Yes. And so I was focusing on that. And then I went to church one day and we met. I'll just leave it there before we talk about how, our relationship started, but you can talk about your remarried
journey.
long marathon
of a journey. Yeah. Well, my journey started while I was in college, and I had a friend, and he told me that he had a sister. So
You got the brother hookup.
Yeah, I got the brother hookup.
Uh-huh.
So, or the friend hookup, I guess you could say. So she actually came to the house one day, and, I actually saw her when I was walking out the door. She was about to knock on the door. And so that's how I actually met her. And it was something that I wanted to do, but
When you say it was something, what do you mean?
Meeting her and getting into a relationship. And when I saw her, I knew I was going to get into a relationship with her, but because I was confident.
There's nothing wrong with a confident man.
Exactly. But I didn't know all the aspects of being a great husband. Definitely not a father because I didn't have children at the time. But I learned some things going through the relationship. And I think that for
So when did you
me,
get married?
we got married maybe a year after we met. And it was a good marriage as far as like the ceremony. the
The
ceremony.
marriage ceremony
The
was
marriage ceremony
fantastic.
it was fantastic.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. It was a nice marriage ceremony.
Yeah. And
And
how long did that marriage last?
actually a little under 2 years.
Little under 2 years.
Yeah.
How did you feel?
Actually, I felt two things. I felt hurt and I felt shame. Those two things.
Yeah.
And
Heard about.
hurt because I had a marriage and I was going through a divorce. And then shame from being in a divorce and then going forward to the rest of my life, you know, not knowing that I was going to be married again or what have you. But it was the shame of having been married and it didn't work out. And now there's people who know me and they knew I was married, and I felt like I failed myself and I failed them.
Yeah.
You know,
and your family and everybody. It's
definitely my family. And it was a little heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, I know.
And as you know, a man, you're the leader of the house. So everything that happens in your house is usually, it falls on the leader.
They'll put it on you anyway.
Yeah.
It was probably your fault that you got a divorce, and no one even knows the situation.
Oh, that was said to me by some people.
Yeah. It's your fault because you're the man. That's kind of heartbreaking to hear, that men sometimes, or men most often, maybe I should say that, get blamed for it without any like explanation. Oh, you were married? You got divorced?
Yeah, it was your fault.
That's your fault.
Exactly.
And that's why I think there's statistics that say that divorced men have a high rate of. Because, I mean, this is serious.
Yeah, it's just a lot of pressure that's put on them. And I know that women have a lot of pressure as well.
Yes.
There's a lot of pressure to be a good wife and to be a great mother.
There's a lot. But to be a man,
there's a lot of pressure to run this household, to take care of other people. Their lives are in your hands. And if you don't know anything about being a leader, or running a business, running your household, a household in a business are actually similar, because you're the leader. Everything that goes on, you should know about it. You should be aware. And I was not aware. I was not a good leader. When I was younger. I was not the type of person who, I didn't look at all the details. And I didn't take into account, I think, some other people's feelings. And I think that I should have done more of that. But that doesn't mean that it would have worked out with that particular person. It just means that I should have done those things.
It could have, it could have gone longer. I mean, who knows if both of you had mentors, or, you know, you never know what would have happened.
Yeah.
So then what happened?
Well, also, in my opinion, there were third-party voices that spoke in the marriage. And one lesson I did learn was that having others in your marriage can affect your communication with your spouse.
Yeah, most
because
definitely.
It should be the two of you communicating. And so I felt like I needed to communicate more with my spouse and vice versa.
Right.
So that we didn't have third parties in there, unless it was a counselor. You know, that's a different third party.
Invited.
And they're invited and they're neutral and they are somebody who's trying to help our marriage, or, you know, what have you.
Yes.
And so that was what happened with that marriage. And then it ended. We got our divorce, and I was, you know, a little sad about that.
Yeah.
And while I was
Now
going,
you're back in the streets.
I'm back in them streets again.
How did you like that? Did you like being single after being married? Because, you know, we were talking about it. We both like being single before we were married. I mean, single life was nice. It was like, single ladies, clap your. I mean, I felt like I enjoyed my single life.
Yeah, definitely. Before marriage, yes.
Yeah. And then I was ready to get married. We're married. And now, whoa, wait a minute. Now I'm single again? After I
So,
tasted the covenant honey?
so you asked me, did I feel good about being single after the divorce? The
Yes.
answer to me was no.
You didn't
I
like it?
I didn't like it because I wanted to be a married man.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a single man. I could be a single man, and I could run
Well,
those streets.
we all can.
Yeah, I mean, I could run those streets. There's
Oh,
nothing,
okay.
Hey,
Street runner.
yeah, guy. I mean, there's a lot of guys who are like, yeah, I'd rather just do that.
But the streets are
But
different
yeah, there's a different.
vibe going out there now.
Yeah.
You can, you know.
Oh yeah, now it's different.
Okay, so you're married, you're in the streets, you
No,
don't
I'm
like
single.
it.
I'm single, and I'm in
Oh
the
yeah,
street.
you're married, you're divorced, you're right. And then you're re-singled,
Re-single.
which
Yeah.
that's a whole nother thing. Being re-singled and
So-
then what?
Yeah, so living that re-single life was different because I met up with some guys and we actually
The bachelors?
the bachelor guys.
But now were these guys married before?
No, they were not married before.
So you were
In fact, one of them was never married, and one of them became married. He got married.
while you guys were hanging out.
Yeah, he got.
So
married.
you were hanging out with real single guys.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But you didn't like it, or you did? You didn't.
We had fun, but it wasn't. It was okay.
Okay.
It was okay.
And
then after a while, like I said, one of them got married, and then he started to go on his way because his wife, he had to take care of his business.
right.
And then that's when I actually met. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I skipped some. That was not that time. That was because that's the time when I met you. But before that, when I met my previous wife, I was married in college, and then I met another person.
Wait a minute.
Which is,
When you were married in college,
and then I met the other person.
then you were divorced.
You divorced, and then I met the other person. I skipped a while.
How long were you single between marriage 1 and marriage 2?
It was about 2 years.
Okay.
I
And
was
so in
single for
that
2 years.
re-single time, how did you feel?
That's when I was not feeling good. I was sad because of my first marriage.
Now,
And
were you
so-
dating a lot?
No.
Okay.
I chose not to date a lot, but I did go out on dates.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
I didn't date a lot. What's a lot? 'Cause we have
For
to
guys,
define.
you have to just.
For guys, you gotta
Wait a
say,
minute. Now,
okay,
is a lot
Are we talking about what? One or two?
a week?
Yeah, a day.
Did you have any serious relationships that you would consider serious between marriage 1 and marriage 2?
No, there were none.
You were just dating.
Yes,
Okay.
I was dating.
You were dating sad dating.
If that's what you want to call it, yeah.
You were
I had some sad dates.
you were sad dating. Okay.
Yeah. I was heartbroken about my divorce.
Okay.
I wasn't sad in life.
Okay.
So I was heartbroken, but I was like, I'm just gonna deal with it and keep it moving.
Okay. Do you feel like you healed then?
No, I wasn't
Okay.
healed.
You just kept it moving.
I kept it moving. I didn't realize that there was a lot of things that I needed to deal with at that time.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was, like you, my parents' divorce and the lack of my biological father being there with me. There's a lot of men who can relate to that, I'm sure. So if I would have had that, maybe I wouldn't have made certain mistakes because
Yeah.
I would have had guidance. I would have had training. I would have had an example, but I didn't have that. Not saying that you couldn't have it from mentors or, other
Yeah.
sources.
It's harder though when you're younger and you kind of want to do your own thing. That's kind of how I felt. I think my parents were trying to tell me things, and I just was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do me."
Yeah, when you're
that's
when you're in your
kinda-
20s or 30s, you really do want to do you,
Yeah.
and you're growing up and you're becoming independent and you're having your own life and you're making your own money and you're living your own life as far as like your own apartment or house. And so I was definitely doing those things.
Right.
So that kept my mind going from feeling too sad about the situation. That's what I meant by I just kept it moving because I was in that stage of
Okay.
that age group. So as I continued on, I eventually ran into my ex-wife before I met you. So because I wasn't healed from my previous relationship, I made these decisions that were life-changing for me. I got married and
You got remarried
remarried.
because you really wanted to be a married man.
I wanted to be a married man.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got married again, and I thought that I would be married for the rest of my life with that marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not heal from the previous relationship. And I didn't work on myself where I would grow to a great leadership standpoint.
So how long did that marriage last?
Close to 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you got divorced, how did you feel about that?
That's when I felt shame, because now I was divorced twice.
Now you're in super shame.
Yeah, I was in shame because.
Have you ever been in shame and you're really embarrassed, and now you've experienced super shame?
It was super shame. But the funny thing about that was, during that time of going through that divorce,
Yeah.
I actually ran into a lady at a job who, she was divorced twice already.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And she told me I should not feel shame. She said
Right.
there's nothing to be ashamed about. And she encouraged me during that time and gave me some motivation to go on with life and say, you're going to have a great life.
Yeah.
You know, this is not the end of the world. This is not the end of your life. It's not going to hold you down or hold you back.
And that was, you really needed to hear that, because I guess in that divorce, you pretty much lost everything.
I did lose everything.
More so than when you were young and it was only, less than 2 years. You're not really acquired, you don't have a lot of things.
Yeah.
Some people date longer than that,
Yeah.
and it seems like the whole time was like 3 years. Now you're kind of at that 6-7 year point. You've established something. You have children now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more on the table.
There's a lot more on the table,
Yeah.
Especially for men during that time when you've been married for quite some time,
Yeah.
over 5-6 years, then you have a lot invested into that. So there was child support. There's, for some people, it's alimony. I had to look at myself and say, wow, this happened again. What am I going to do? How am I going to change and make better decisions, new decisions during this time?
And we're going to, dive deeper into that as in other episodes as we talk about recovering from that. So this is the stage where you're hanging out with the single guys. You're re-singled now.
Yeah.
You're dating.
Yes.
You're dating now.
Yes.
You're dating now.
Yeah.
And how was that?
It was interesting.
Yeah.
There's some good people out there.
Were you looking for a wife at the time?
No, I don't think I was looking for a wife at that time.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to date and go on with life. Like I said, I was trying to establish myself even more. I had to recover from the divorce.
Yeah.
So
move.
I had to move. I started off with nothing. I had literally nothing after that divorce.
Yeah.
So,
as a lot of men do.
Yeah.
When that happens to them.
Yeah. A lot of men are told to survive off of basically nothing after a certain divorce, and that does hurt them.
And pay child support.
You're trying to live on your own.
There's no way you really can date because dating is expensive.
Dating is expensive. You're right. So that was probably one of my main reasons for not dating.
Getting serious.
Yeah,
we can go on one date, the first
exactly
1 or 2 dates.
I mean, the funny thing is, if you attract people, you attract them, and then you have to say, well, is my money gonna be
Is your
good?
money gonna
Exactly. So
yeah, because women don't have that same issue when you're re-singled. I guess for me,
most of them don't.
Yeah,
I can't say all of them, but most of them. Yeah.
I don't remember dating being a financial burden for me.
Oh yeah, it was a financial burden for me.
Yeah, because guys, and I was willing to pay for, especially for first dates, or half or whatever. Let's just meet up here.
Yeah.
I was the queen of meeting up somewhere. I don't want you to come pick me up.
Well, it's probably safer to do that.
Yeah, we'll just meet up. I'll drive.
Yeah.
My car, you drive your car. We'll meet up. So with the meetups, I didn't mind, paying half, but that whole time period was not a financial burden for me.
Yeah.
And there's a difference. I think both of us were at the point where, God, I'm kind of done looking. I was like, I know that I want to be married. I want to be a wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really having any real relationships during that time. Meanings, I don't know. Can we say that word? How do I say it?
Not that word. Relations. Is that the word you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Relations that happen in the night. Well, they can happen in the day. Wait a minute. You know what I'm talking about, right? Mm. So I wasn't really doing that. I just was kind of dating and groups of people meeting up.
Well, I mean, I did go on.
Meetups were great.
I went on single dates, but not a whole bunch of them by choice.
Yeah.
Because I just hung out with.
You couldn't afford them.
Well, you can, but you have to know, do I want to eat the next day by myself? Do I want to eat that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got a job and I was making, decent money with that. But also with child support and living, paying rent and having a car, taking care of that and insurance, it just adds up. Rent
was high.
Yeah.
It's really high now.
It's super
out
high
there.
now.
I mean,
I think it's definitely double what I was paying.
We have this experience of being married, being divorced, re-singled, and putting ourselves in the posture of marrying someone again. And for me, it was that I had stopped looking, and I had told God, I said, I don't think I'm good at picking out people to marry. I can't see their heart all the time. I can see the flash. There's a lot of flash going on around here.
Well, especially being a man, it's like you're drawn to the physical. You're drawn to looking at things.
Well, for me, my experience was that the men were a little more not clear, not fully, I don't want to say deceptive, but they didn't really want to share their true situation of where they were, emotionally, financially, it was a lot of games,
Yeah, but in those streets, there's a lot of games.
There's a lot of games.
That's a part of it.
That's why I wanted to get out. And so, when I met you, it was at a time that I just said, God, I'm not gonna like go on dates and get hooked up and try to go on any apps or anything. I'm just gonna, I guess,
leave it up to him.
Yeah, I'm just gonna work.
Yeah.
And God, you just show me somebody or have somebody find me. And then I went to church and you found me.
I did, but that wasn't until after I went to the club.
Yeah.
Because I was by myself. During that time, I was by myself for a while.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was like 2 years, what have you. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until the last month that I decided, with hanging out with those guys, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go out. And they took me out to this club. And I actually met somebody there, and they wanted to meet up. But I said, I don't know if I'm feeling this.
Yeah.
And that was on a Saturday night. Mm-hmm. And then I got up and I went to church the next day. Right. And that's when I met you.
You were at the club and then you went to church.
Yeah. Well, I was raised a certain way. Yeah,
you were raised to go to the club and then to church.
Yeah, I was raised to.
No, you meant
if you're gonna go to the club, you got to get up.
That's
and
right.
Go to the church.
If you want to party,
you got to get up the next
praise.
day. Yeah,
is that how you were?
Yeah, exactly.
So we've been married now for
13 years.
13 years.
Yeah, I know you know that though, right?
And we were so happy, of course. We were so happy when I was married longer than my parents.
Or your previous marriage.
I had like 2 milestones I wanted to hit, and then we hit it. And even while we were going through like our first few years, it was very hard navigating blended families. I had to be a stepmom. You had to grow in co-parenting. We were learning this, blending our styles and our home and our ways together. We were always wanting, or we were always searching for information to help us. And it wasn't a lot of that. We went to marriage counseling,
Yes,
and
which was good.
yeah, it did help. And it was very encouraging because basically they were saying
You
how
have to
you're,
heal.
yes, and how you're feeling now will pass.
I thought that was really good advice from the counselor that we had.
Yeah.
When they said that later on in years, you're not even going to remember all the stuff that you
Right.
went through in your previous marriage.
And that was deep for me.
Yeah, that was really deep for you because you went through so much.
I was like, wait a minute. You're telling me I'm not going to remember this pain?
At least not to the level that you
Exactly.
were feeling it at that time.
I couldn't even talk about it for a while. I mean, I couldn't even discuss it without really just bawling.
Crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And weeping. I felt like I was like weeping. So I would tell anyone out there who's going through it, it's hard to hear now, but the pain will subside. Yes.
Over time.
And your heart will heal. And there are some things that you can do to help that. And that's why we started Remarried Love. We wanted people who had experienced it, who are currently experiencing it, and who want to be married again to just kind of
Have support.
So
we wanted to be that support for the people who don't have support.
And we wanted to start the podcast a few years back, and it just was like there were so many different things that would come along, and we wouldn't do it. And it
was mostly me.
Well, we also had like a re-shaming kind of feeling about it. Like, man, we're gonna be out here telling people we were married before.
Well, the thing is, I think that out here on the internet, people feel like they have to be perfect. And in marriages, people are told you're going to find your perfect mate. You're going to be perfect. And in life is not perfect.
Yeah.
And people are not perfect. And you and I, we are not perfect.
Right.
But we decided to make a decision to be with each other as imperfect people, to have a great marriage.
I think that's a good point. We came to each other. We know that we're imperfect. And I do believe that I have more patience about letting my spouse, which is you, grow and evolve at the pace that you grow and evolve. And sometimes, and when I say more patience, you're probably like, you're not. But I mean, even to recognize.
Yeah.
That we're going to grow at different paces, but we both still have this, like our eyes on the prize. We're still going in the same direction.
And I think also that knowing that we love each other and that we want to be with each other no matter what.
Yes.
Like this marriage is something that we have wanted to have, and that we made a decision with each other that we're going to work this marriage.
Also, like there was really no judgment. And that's kind of hard because we experienced so much judgment for getting a divorce. And for me, I was surprised that I felt like I had another kind of layer of judgment when I wanted to get married again. Just me alone wanting to get married again. People are like, why would you do that?
Well, I felt like my level of judgment was from the church.
Yeah, that was mostly where I got it from.
Yeah, I got a lot of judgment from the church.
People outside the church, friends, they were just like, yeah, do you, girl, do you.
But in the church, it wasn't like that.
It was like, what are you doing, you adulteress?
Yeah, fornicator.
You're fornicating, marrying a man who's been married. And I was like, who am I committing adultery against?
Exactly.
Like, was it you? Was it your wife? I was like, oh my gosh.
I don't
know how.
The second, who?
How
me?
He's been married twice. And they were like, oh my gosh.
You're marrying that sinner.
Yeah, but my family was cool with it.
Yeah.
They met you.
You have a great family.
Yeah, they met you and they heard you. They knew what I went through. They were like, he's perfect for you.
Well, your dad was great,
He's perfect for you. And I'm like, really? Because I don't see it yet. No, I did see it, but you don't know that when you're
going through it at first.
Yeah,
you don't know who's perfect for you at the time. No, you have to.
You think perfect is perfect for you, And we'll even get into that.
Yeah,
So as
we'll get into
women,
that.
you think the perfect man, he has to be what? A bazillionaire,
Yeah.
no kids, hot, and have some sort of job that can allow him to take you on shopping sprees all the time.
Yeah, so he has to be able to make the money there,
Make
but
the
be with
money,
you as well.
be with you, adore you, cook for you, or get you food, take you out.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the children do, but like he has to be perfect.
And the man has to have a woman who's perfect as well.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
it's hard to even wrap your mind around the reality that there could be an imperfect person that is perfect for you.
Yeah. Well, the truth is there is an imperfect person who is perfect for you.
Yeah. Well, we're
Because
all imperfect.
exactly. So you're looking for
So
a perfect person, doesn't exist.
that
So it's
yeah.
kind of like before we got married, I knew that you existed. I just didn't know who you were or your name. But I
Right.
knew that you existed.
It's like God, there's someone out there for me.
Oh yeah, I knew you. I knew she was around here. I was
It's
like,
like she
I
must
don't know
be
her
in
name.
she must be within a 5-mile radius. Were you
Exactly.
Googling me?
Exactly.
My
I was googling.
future wife.
Yeah, exactly. Where's my wife at?
She's
So, oh, she's right around here. Let's go check her out.
I
But
just knew that God made somebody for me. You know, I knew that I wanted to be a wife. That also was like kind of a thing that was not accepted either. And the church is like, wait, you're a career woman, you're doing this, you don't have any kids. Thankfully, I didn't have any kids out of that relationship.
Yeah.
And so I'm out here. I kind of had to start from square
Scratch.
one too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm living with my dad now at the time that I was resingled. But at least it was like, I have a job, I have a career. Friends, girlfriends were like, why would you ever
Do that
go
again.
back into that situation
Yeah.
again?
And then here comes this guy who he's been married twice.
Like, hey,
and
ladies, guess what? Who I found.
Exactly.
This guy has children. He's been married twice.
Yeah. I was number one on the
He
list.
pays child support.
Oh yeah.
And he lives in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh yeah. Look at that. He's so hot.
He's hot.
He's driving a used car that was like eventually had no air conditioned.
No air. He has no air.
Yeah.
And it's hot down here.
So yeah.
And all of that, when we made it through all of that,
Yeah, we did.
13 years strong. And we have a healthy relationship. We have a healthy marriage.
It's strong enough to help others.
A healthy, intimate relationship.
Oh yeah. I'm glad you said that and I didn't say That's good. Yeah.
We have children.
Yes.
And now we have this podcast.
Yes. And other things.
That's how Remarried Love came about. So let's talk about who this podcast is for. Let's clear up any confusion.
Clear up any confusion for the people that this podcast was made for.
Yes. I know one right off the bat.
What's that?
This podcast is for men and women who want to be married again.
So people who want to be married again, not people who don't want to be married again.
If you don't want to be married again,
then this podcast is not for you.
this podcast is not.
It's only for people who really want to
You
be
want to
married.
be married again.
Yeah.
For some reason, you want to go through this again.
And you want to be a married person.
You do. I guess the other type of person that this podcast is for is a person who may want to marry someone who's been married again. They haven't been married, so they were at the single is fun stage and they're about to get married.
But the person they're marrying has been married before.
Yes, they've
Yeah.
been through the single
Stage.
and now they're going to think about marriage differently.
Yeah.
And we want to kind of let people know what to look for, what things may be different, how a person married again may move differently, have different, is it baggage? Is it fair to say that? They have.
Well, there is baggage. I think it is fair to say that.
Yeah.
You know, people who've been married before, there are some things that you've gone through that are lingering from your previous relationship.
Because they at least have an ex.
Yes. You have an ex.
Unless they're a widow.
That's still
But they'll still have feelings. They still can have feelings or soul ties to another person.
Mm-hmm.
Or they experienced the type of love that would make you want to commit to a person in a covenant relationship.
Mm-hmm.
They've experienced that.
And they want to do it again.
and they want to do it again, and you're the first person going through that.
Yes.
So we're here for that. This podcast is for people who are remarried. They're in a remarried relationship.
Where both people are remarried.
Both people are remarried.
Yeah.
And they want to strengthen their bond.
They want to go down
increase their intimacy.
They want to go down a great journey. They want to have a great journey, I should say.
Yes.
To end up even greater.
Right.
So, you know, you made the decision to be married, mm-hmm. to be remarried, mm-hmm. and you want to go through a great remarried journey and have a great remarried life together.
Because you have to navigate so many new things.
Yeah.
Having children.
Bringing the families together, two families.
Is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Finances.
Definitely that money.
A big deal. Navigating like end of life things, your wills, your estates, how things are going to be distributed. Those are things that you have to discuss because now you may have new children. Now you have stepchildren.
Yes.
It's a lot. Then family, when I say family, like in-laws and the extended family, how does that look?
Yes.
Friends, what is your friend circle now?
It's funny because after you go through it, some people go through a divorce, mm-hmm. they lose friends.
Definitely.
Friends change.
Yes.
So they have to look at who are our new friends
right.
together. Mm-hmm. So as a married couple, a newly married couple, remarried couple, who are our friends as a remarried couple right. together? Because we're building a new life together.
Yes.
So that's something that we definitely have to do and have done mm-hmm. and will continue to do.
And, you know, there's triggers, there's things that emotional, what would you call it? Like there's extra emotional layers.
Yeah.
In a remarried situation. And so remarriages even have a higher percentage of divorce than the first one.
But the thing about it is that we want to focus on not the statistics that are high on divorce, right. but high on the opposite side. So let's say if it's 75% divorce rate, we want to focus on the 25%. We're going to
turn up that 25%.
Oh yeah, we're going to be part of that 25.
Because we are like part of that very rare group of people that have succeeded. Because even there was another statistic out there that said kids of people who are divorced
yes.
are more likely to get divorced. But
that's true.
If they're kids of divorce whose parents got remarried, mm-hmm. it's even higher for them to get a divorce.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Because they have seen a marriage fail and they have seen important people in their lives yeah. being replaced. Mm-hmm. And because they have that visual or experience, they're even higher. So we had all of that.
We had the whole shebang.
I mean, we had everything.
So
and we're still
and we still wanted to be married.
We still wanted to be married.
And have a great relationship.
It's like we've seen horrible stuff.
We wanted to have a legacy. I think it's more than just a marriage. For us, it was having a legacy. And I'm very happy that I didn't give up on myself, yeah. let alone this marriage. Yeah, or being married.
Yes, on
mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that too because
yeah.
I wouldn't say it's easy to give up, but it's hard to work it through.
Yeah. Sometimes it is hard to work through because you're dealing with not the current pain, but also the pain from the past.
Yeah.
So you're it's like a train and you have all these cars on that track. Uh-huh. So you have the past, trains,
right.
Cars that are connected to you as the engine mm-hmm. and you're pulling and pulling and pulling mm-hmm. and you feel like you have a long history of cars or dead weight for some people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to drop things off, get rid of some things so that you can shorten that caboose to get it closer to the engine so that you can just fly on to where you're going.
To go forward.
Well, in order to do that, though, mm-hmm. you have to realize that there's some things that you have to work on, change. And so that's what we have done and that's what we are doing. And we'll help others. It will be a support to others.
Yeah. One thing we want to make clear is that we do not advocate divorce.
Never.
And we're never going to give advice to anyone who would ask us, do you think I should divorce him? Do you think I should divorce her? We're not going to, we don't speak about that.
No.
Because it's not something we would want anyone to go through.
No.
It's
I wouldn't want, to be honest with you, I would not want my worst enemy to
Yeah.
go through a divorce. I'm not that type of person.
And at this point, we
So-
don't even care if you're the person who did the dirt
Mhm.
or got dirted on. If you want to change your mindset and love again, you can.
You can.
And
And you can do it without shame.
yes.
That's one of the things that I want people to know is that you can change your life. You can get remarried, and you can be remarried without shame.
Okay, here's the nugget.
What's
Here's
that?
one of our nuggets.
Yeah.
No matter what side you were on the divorce, everything has to die to move on.
Yeah.
The marriage died. The person you were in that marriage, even if you were the victim, that person has to die.
And when she says that, she's meaning that you can't carry
I mean, that person
of-
has to die.
you can't carry all your baggage
You can't
into
be
the new marriage.
that person
You can't be that person
anymore.
You have to
Whether
be
whatever side you were on.
yeah, whatever side you were on. If you make the decision to get remarried, you have to become a new person with your new spouse.
Even if you feel like I did nothing wrong. I did nothing. That person cannot go into the new marriage.
No.
They
Because
have-
you're with somebody different. You're with somebody new, and you're creating something that is new and different. So you have to be a new entity as one together. So
that's our one of our nuggets for today, for this episode. If you want to have a remarried love and a healthy new relationship, everything that you were before in a previous marriage has to die.
you have to let it go.
Okay.
And we'll talk about how to let things go.
Well,
because
definitely,
sometimes
we got you.
we're
We're going to talk about all of this. We're not going to just leave you with it, but we just wanted to give you that nugget.
yeah, we're your big brother and sister, and we're going to be supporting you, and we'll help you.
Yes.
And we'll give you tips on how
Well,
to
we'll show
let
you
things
what
go.
happened. Yeah, we'll give you a lot of stories.
Yeah,
too.
stories of how we let things go.
And the other thing that we're not going to do is we're not going to give you tips on how to get back with your ex.
No, we're not going to go backwards.
No,
we don't
so
go backwards. No.
That's usually from the people who did the dirt. And they're like, well, how can I get back with my ex? We don't have any advice for that because
And that's just that's our stance. Our stance is we don't do that.
Because we're focused on healing and going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So there are marriages that people divorce and they remarry each other.
Mm-hmm.
That is so beautiful to me. And I think that is when both people knew that this was the love of their life, and they knew that both of them may have done things that caused this divorce. I think they take ownership of that, each person, and then they go heal and come back together. That is one of the most beautiful stories when I hear that, and I meet people who've been married to each other, divorced, and then married again. And that is a high percentage of remarriages. But as far as this podcast, we're not going to go into that part. We are here to help people heal and to move forward. And it's
And to have a healthy relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's your decision if your ex is the person that you can have a new healthy relationship with, because whoever it is, it's still going to be a new you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're focused on.
When we got together, we had to learn each other. We had to learn ourselves in this relationship because it's a different relationship, a new entity, and we became one with someone who is different than ourselves and from anybody else that we've ever dated or was in a relationship with.
You are one of a kind, honey.
Is that good or bad? I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
That's the best.
Yeah. So we just enjoy.
You wouldn't want somebody that it's like easily duplicated or something.
No,
you're one of a
definitely
kind.
not. Yeah, of course.
And we also want to make it clear that we do not believe that remarriage is a perpetual sin.
No.
And that you're just going to be in sin for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life.
So if you feel that way,
or if somebody's making you feel that way, I want to say that.
Well, I would just want to say, if you want to, if someone out there is like, I'm going to leave a mean comment and shame these people, yeah, don't do that. Because believe me, we've had enough. And if you haven't ever been divorced, you don't know how that feels, especially if you weren't the one who
was the catalyst for the divorce,
who went and got those papers and and said to somebody, if you were never discarded, You know,
That's interesting.
somebody said, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And now
Now I don't want anything to
I
do
don't want
with
to
you.
have anything to do with you. I've
Moved on, or I found somebody
moved
else.
on. I am so smart now. I got a new
Or
promotion.
we've what do I say? We've gone our separate ways. We've
Grown apart.
grown apart. Yeah, from
And
each
the reason
other.
why we grew
Yeah,
apart is because I was always going over here.
yeah. I was always doing my own thing anyway.
So if you've never felt the pain of being discarded and having to pick your life up again, don't leave any mean comments.
We're here to support people, to help them, to encourage them, and to give them tips and well wishes for their new relationship or the relationship that they would like to be
And
in.
that's what we're about. That's what we're going to do.
Positivity.
Yes. So hope that clears up, who the podcast is for. Everyone can listen in. We just wanted to make it kind of clear of who may benefit from the information.
Yeah.
And one other little thing about our podcast is that we're going to tell a lot of stories, and just to protect everyone, our friends Larry and Cherry. And Larry and Cherry are fictional characters that get into a lot of situations. So you'll hear us talk about Larry. Sorry
Cherry.
if your name is Larry.
Yeah, sorry if your name is Cherry.
Because we're not talking about you. We're actually talking, it'll be some stories that we'll say ourselves.
Exactly. They could be about our situation. It could be about a friend's situation. It could be about people we know or what have you. But
And we like Larry and Cherry because it sounds cute.
it could be
Larry
something that happened in society.
and
You never
Cherry.
know.
Oh, yes. Larry and Cherry could be pop culture.
Exactly. They get around.
So that's what you can expect on
Remarried Love.
A Remarried Love.
Yeah.